Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. This week, we're going to talk about a race between Spencer Hicks and Brian Moen for the county commissioner's seat, and some of the drama that went on a couple of weeks ago in the county commissioner's meeting when it comes to the $47 million in COVID funds. Now, there's a race going on for the county commissioner's seat between a guy named Spencer Hicks and the incumbent Brian Maughan, who has hit the news here lately. Now, first I want to talk about Spencer Hicks. He's got a campaign out. He's running against Brian, of course. He's a Democrat. His wife is Debbie Hicks, who serves in the Oklahoma legislature, and he's doesn't have a whole lot of information on him, but he does promise not to be icky like Brian, and we're going to go over some of those points right now on this guy. Now, one thing I want to point out is when it comes to Brian, he's been there for a little while. He tried to run for mayor and didn't win in 2017 or 2016, and so he stayed county commissioner. And there's a few things now. There's something that caught my eye on this, made me want to do a show, particularly on this particular commissioner. Is one, he's coming up for election. It's election year, less than 2 months. Here we go. We're going to be voting. You can get your absentee ballot right now. As a matter of fact, you can get it from the election board. You can go right there to the website and you can request a ballot sent to you, and you can vote right now in Oklahoma absentee. Now, that being said, Spencer Hicks is running against Brian Moen. And Brian here, he's the commissioner, and he voted in favor just a couple of weeks ago of moving $42 million of the $47 million that's allocated to the county of Oklahoma into the jail trust. Now, what this does is it upset a lot of people, and a lot of people went down and voiced concern, including the county treasurer had voiced concern. Another person on the commissioner's board raised concern. There was 3 people that voted against it, and one who wasn't there to vote. They kind of rammed this through just so she wouldn't be there when they voted. It was kind of the purpose when Kevin Calvi, who's another commissioner that we've talked about before, brought this up to a vote. Now, there is a group that's behind Brian Moen for county commissioner this year. They really want you to vote for him. This comes right from a place called Gardner Tatenbaum Holdings, and if you look them up, they're real estate developers. They do real estate development in Oklahoma, and I bet they do a lot in Oklahoma County. Why? Well, they're pretty buddy with Mr. Brian Moen, and they seem to really want him to win. So you kind of got to think, real estate developer and county commissioner, how do those fit together? So, and it doesn't take too hard when you look at something of Kevin Calvi, who always puts out a sign saying, hey, this project brought to you by, and it's kind of like taking county funds to run your re-election campaign. It's kind of icky, but he can kind of get away with it because of our current laws. So he does that kind of thing. It's advertisement, it's marketing, that's what it is, and he's using taxpayer dollars to do it. But we're talking about Brian Moen here. We're not going to talk about that right now. And anyway, but I really want to talk about this Gardner Tatenbaum Holdings place. They got a a letter, mailer, whatever they did, begging you for money. And this is how they do it. And this whole thing is nothing but a protection racket. Kind of reminds you of a mob boss going after these small businesses saying, hey man, you need us to protect you. Pay us money, we'll protect you from these scary people. And it's exactly what they're doing. This whole thing, I mean, the first line in it, the funny thing is, the first line in this is imagine. They want you to imagine a scenario. So basically that tells you right there, we're going to go off into fantasy land, and we want you to imagine a world where leftists are in control. And in this world, well, we got illegals everywhere. There's a taco truck on every corner, and they're speaking Spanish. We're having fiestas and siestas, and oh man, it's just so un-American. So that's the first thing right out of the box. The other thing is, they call leftists, they call them filth, and they call them disorder, and they're all about, destruction. And that's what they go on, threatening the lives of family of commissioners, which I'm not really sure happened, but they put it in here that that's what they are. They're violent, they're filthy, they're disorganized and they're for disorder and chaos. And that's what this whole thing is send us money because this is a dire fight and we're in dire consequences. It says that right at the end. There will be dire consequences if you don't send us money. And that's basically what it is. It doesn't really say much about Brian himself. Just says he's an upstanding guy at the end. That's all we get, really. That's it. Not that he's done these great things being a commissioner or anything like that. Just he's an upstanding guy. We're not going to tell you anything he's done over the past several years. He's been a commissioner, just that he's been good for us. But you know what? They're not going to tell you that. They don't want to say, hey, he's been great for us. Of course, this holding company, I'm pretty sure, Brian Moen has actually probably been pretty good for them. That's probably why they would like him to win election again. They go on to say in this letter that this isn't just a race for county commissioner. This also goes into Kendra Horn and her leftist ideals. And they go into this whole deal about how we gotta win and you gotta send us money to protect you because these leftists are coming with their disorder and their filth and their ideas about illegals and stuff and taco trucks. And I'm just saying, it's just a wacky line. It's nothing but a big hate-filled fear-mongering. I'm peeing all over myself in fear, but if you pay us money, we can protect you. Now, the weird deal about this thing is Brian, along with Kevin Calvi, our county assessor, Hooten, and a representative of he's not the assessor, he's the county clerk. The assessor is Larry Stein. He didn't actually vote, he's on there, but he sent a proxy in to vote for him, and they all voted for moving these funds over. What are these funds? Well, the county of Oklahoma was awarded $47 million in COVID funding to do things that are COVID related. This mostly was supposed to go for small businesses and non-profits to help their businesses out, to help the rent, to help their utilities, to keep them going so that they can employ people and stay in business. And that's what that was for. It also goes for individuals too. You can apply, help get your utilities paid, help your rent. Also landlords, hey man, I got people, they're not working, it's hard right now, I need to get something going, and they can help. It's a whole deal there. So really they took all that away and they left them with $5 million. They actually didn't leave them with that because at the end of the day they started budgeting out stuff. They left them with $1.5 million. One commissioner alone said she had 2,000 phone calls on COVID relief and the funding that the county got for that. There's no way $1.5 million is going to cover that. There's just no way it's going to. And people are going to be really hurt over this. Businesses, small businesses are going to be hurt. Non-profits are going to be hurt, and individuals, because they didn't think this through. I know they say, Brian Moen wants to say, hey man, I thought this through since we got it. But you know what? No, he thought it through, but that's it. That's as far as that goes. This is not what a commissioner does that sits on a board. When you sit on a board, you're not an individual. You have to work with everybody else. So, and that includes people that you may not agree with. It's supposed to get out in the open with all the information out there. This is an open meeting, and it's requirement. You want to put that in the record. We want to get that in the minutes of what's going on. Nah, man, we don't need to do that. I'm the Brian, and I know that this is great stuff, and we need to do this and send this over to the jail trust. They sent $42 million of the $47 million to the jail trust. Now, the really crazy thing about this, that even the county treasurer was saying, is they have to spend all that money before the end of the year or give it back to the feds. Not only does it have to be spent, but it has to be spent on COVID-related things. And he really questions, along with several other people, that they can do that. Within 4 months' time, they're going to spend almost $40 million on COVID improvements to the jail. I think they're going to get in trouble when they get audited by the Fed. I think they're looking at federal heat coming down on them when this house of cards starts to crumble. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking it's going to be a really bad look for Oklahoma, for Oklahoma County, Oklahoma City, and any place else within. And that makes me to another point. If you're in Oklahoma City proper, well, the city itself got its own funds and can help out. And this is one of the arguments. Well, we can move these funds around because Oklahoma City got so much money. Yeah, okay. Oklahoma City got so much money. Oklahoma County got something different. And this is the thing. If you're in the county unincorporated areas, that means not in Oklahoma City limits, or you might be in a suburban municipality like Bethany, Moore, or even parts of Moore, I guess, and like War Acres or Edmond, well, you're kind of SOL. Hopefully, you got something from your municipality, because Oklahoma City's not going to help you. But the other thing is, if you're in the unincorporated county area, well, you're really up this creek without a paddle, because you're not getting any help. Good luck. You got $1.5 million allocated to everybody else within the county. That includes people within city limits that you got to compete with, and you're really going to suffer for this. This wasn't thought through like Brian wants you to think. He thought it through. Great. But you didn't think it through as a group. You didn't think it through in a meeting. You didn't get it in the minutes. And that's what makes him ignorant. That's what makes him a very bad candidate to be our commissioner for the county of Oklahoma. And that's why you probably should vote for Spencer Hicks, somebody who's not going to be icky like that. Pull together with another group that's putting out a mailer for a protection racket, who are real estate developers. That's what they do. They develop real estate, and they're giving you scare tactics, wanting you to send them money to protect you. It's just it's so far out there that I guess it's just a normal. Here we are, 2020, and you got this crazy stuff going on, and this is what the kind of drama that we have in the county commissioner race, in the county commissioner's seat, in the county commissioner's meetings. It's just a big circus over there, especially when you have Sea Captain Calvi, pulling very underhanded, very loosely by the rules done meeting, where we're going to call a meeting 901, we're going to have this vote, we're going to ram it through with no discussion, no topics, no time for debates, nothing in the minutes. We're just going to run this through because you know what? I'm going to manipulate it that way. Now, I really didn't want to talk about Kevin Calvi too much. I wanted to focus on vote for Spencer Hicks, because he's not an icky guy like Brian Moen. So please vote for Spencer Hicks. But I'm going to talk about Kevin Calvi and all this, and something really disturbing kind of happened during this meeting. They had their vote, and then afterwards going to invite the press in. Well, what he did was, the guy that owns the Tower Theater, Kevin Calvi, hit him in the chest and shoved him back. He committed assault. There's actually a report done, and one of the law enforcement officers that was there did corroborate that, yeah, he felt like he did apply pressure to the owner of the Tower Theater and did make contact and did forcefully push him back in a textbook definition of assault. So that's what we have with Kevin Calvi. He really is a bully. So not only is he a bully in the commissioners meeting, but he is physically too. He'll physically try to rough you up if he disagrees with you. And not only that, he also left out one of the press purposely. The guy for the Black Wall Street Times told him, "Now you can't come in, not you," and shut the doors and locked them on him. And that's what he did. That's exactly what he did in this meeting, which is kind of gross. And I really wish he was up for a re-election this year, but I think we got to wait another 2 years, and then hopefully we can get him out. Hopefully what we can do is we can prove that he's a fraud and that he did all this stuff illegally, moving all these funds over, and maybe we can get some federal charges on him because he didn't really do his job as commissioner. They didn't look this at. They didn't look at it thoroughly. They moved all this money over. There's going to have to go back to the feds because they're not going to be able to spend it all. There's going to be a big, huge audit, and he's going to be really having to ask and answer for a lot of questions. Well, that's my show this week on Across the Desk with Kit Fairchild. I hope you've enjoyed the information that I've handed you today, and that you'll really consider voting for Spencer Hicks if you live in Oklahoma County. I think he's the man that we can actually trust to get things done the way the citizens of Oklahoma County need to have done, want to have done, and really deserve to have done. Well, that's my show this week. Please join us next time, because we'll be back again next week.